Hi everyone, and welcome to this installment of a series of videos that will give you strategies for career change. This one is for a consulting business, and I think you're really going to find it interesting and really enjoy it. But I do have something to tell you. I am offering a free gift to those who are interested. Okay, so it is a book that is a compilation of all the interviews that will be posted eventually on YouTube, as well as 2 bonus tracks that I've created from my own experiences, and starting with the Career Change Readiness Survey. So if you want a copy of this free book, don't hesitate to log into Nurse Practitioner Global Initiatives, go to shop, and press on the book. Just follow the instructions and you'll be able to download it. I'll put a link down below, and there'll also be a link for a course that is offered by our guest today, Gisele Guenard.
Hi, everybody, and welcome today. Today we're speaking to a very special person, Gisele Guenard. Gisele has a wealth of experience in a variety of positions, but the thing we're here to talk about today is really the consulting business that she started, not from the business perspective so much, but from the coaching aspect and the education aspect that she's followed through with respect to board development. So welcome, Gisele. Is there anything that you'd like to add to my blurb at the start?
I just want to thank you for sharing, your time with me and asking me. And if I can, share some ideas that might perk ideas amongst your students and others who might see this, then all the better, because we do need people to think seriously about entering fields where you can make a real difference with the skills and knowledge that you already have.
Well, that actually is a great segue into the first question that I have for you. When you started this or had the idea to start this business, what were some of the things that made you think that you could move forward with it? What were the characteristics or the things in place that you had in place already?
Thank you for that, because again, as I said, skills that you already have. So I've been a registered nurse since I was 19 years old, and had gone ahead with advanced education, and did the bachelor's and the master's program. My master's was in education, because at that time I had moved into teaching nursing in the college system, and I wanted to get my master's degree. So I was teaching. I taught for over 10 years in the nursing programs initially at Cambridge and then at Boreal. And so I was, developing skills all the time in being able to teach, because teaching is coaching. And coming from the nursing background, I had that caring approach to helping people. And at the same time, I always knew that I wanted to have my own business. I ended up, in fact, working in various fields in my career, public health management in that area, as well as executive administration. So I was the CEO of Espanola General Hospital for a time. And so I gained a lot of skills in the workplace, as we all do, took all kinds of courses along the way. And I knew I wanted to start a business. So I always knew that I wanted to start a business that in some way was going to create positive change, which is what nurses do every day. And I had a real keen interest in leadership and governance, because I ended up on boards of various healthcare organizations. And I really saw that boards actually create change constantly. So I knew it was an area that maybe I could have some impact, and I had a lot of interest in it. So it's a variety of skills and experiences that came together. And I actually got the idea to launch the client-centered governance part of my business a few years into it. So I started my business in about 15 years ago now. And a couple of years into it, I was already working with boards, and developed the idea and trademarked client-centered governance, which is a training program to get all your essentials with that client aspect. So it's all the skills that I had, the experiences that I gained, and pulling it together, and the ideas came. And that's how the business developed.
Wow, my mind is just reeling with questions now. certainly, I personally have experienced the importance of governance twice in my career. Uh, for people that aren't aware, two different organizations that I've worked with have become insolvent or declared bankruptcy. So, and
Right.
that is hugely in part because of board decisions. So, your role in coaching and guiding and educating boards is so important, and I think people just don't realize that until they are in a situation like I am. So you mentioned a little bit about why this particular piece, um, the governance piece, was interesting to you. Were there any experiences other than sitting on a board that led you to think that maybe this is the way to go?
Well, it's interesting because your comments and my thoughts really connect. So, Roberta, as you know, when the nurse practitioner clinic idea was developed by you and Marilyn Butcher, I was at that time a CEO in Espanola at the hospital, and I was really supportive of getting that initiative going. And I remember knowing at that time from how things work in healthcare that the governance of that organization and any other organizations that would flow from that was key. Number one, I had seen, as you said, the importance and the risks when leadership teams really don't have the basic knowledge. So those experiences again helped me to see that governance piece, when nonprofits, and not just healthcare, when nonprofits fail, I can say it is almost, and I'd like to say 100% of the time, it's almost always governance failure. So that significant difference that you can make by helping these teams to know the basics of what they're supposed to do is incredible. And I've been fortunate to work with nonprofit agencies now all over Ontario and Canada, and it's the same story every single time. When they're in trouble, guess what? They don't know their basics. They don't know their essentials. And you can come in as a consultant, and maybe you have a nursing background or a nursing background plus something else. You can learn your basics. You can go in and really help them redirect. It's incredible the difference you can make. And if you've got skills and you like working with people and you like showing people different ways to do decision making and making sure your client is really your focus, it's incredible the difference that you can make.
So you're moving towards some of the other questions that I think some of the listeners might have, and that would be, what other characteristics you talked about, certainly learning from every position that you've been in. What other characteristics do you think somebody would benefit from having if they were interested in this type of work?
Okay, that's a good question. Right off the top of my head, what comes to mind is you have to have the ability to drive your functions, your own work, to create success for the client. So what that means can be, okay, today I think I'm going to reorganize my office or, tidy up my files. But guess what? If your client needs you to help them complete a strategic plan or plan a board retreat, that stuff's got to wait. You have to be client-centered. So you have to be comfortable knowing what the priorities are and leaving other things aside while you drive forward to those priorities. And sometimes that means your office is a mess, which mine is right now because I just moved actually. And that's part of the scenario. And I have clients that need me to help them with things right now. So that's what I'm focusing on. That is number one. You have to be able to be disciplined and focus on getting your clients the help they need. And sometimes that means bringing in other partners. So I have associates. I don't do it all on my own. You have to be able to understand that. And, I guess it's part of the work ethic, right? And some mornings, like a couple of days ago, I was up at 5:30. out to do a strategic planning with one of my groups, and you're on your feet for 8 or 9 hours. So sometimes it's like it's really busy, and it's really kind of, you can be tired at the end of your day. Just because you're in consulting doesn't mean you don't have those days where you're just really hustling. But the satisfaction, it's incredible. So that's another thing. You've got to be able to be your own boss, stick to what you need to do, know your priorities, and know how you can help your clients. And real
So it's
positive.
certainly a lot of self-direction.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
sounds as if the clients really look to you and have expectations. You will be the one that takes the lead on how the processes will, how you will manage
Yeah.
them and move forward with them.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. They see you as a lead because you're coming in with your expertise. And in fact, whether you consider yourself a coach or not, when you're doing consulting at this level, you are executive coaching all the time, because you are working with usually the board, the CEO, sometimes the managers and middle management, and yes, sometimes the front lines, but you are just naturally coaching those executives towards, making the best decisions they can. So, you've got to be comfortable. You've got to enjoy that.
well, it sounds like you absolutely do, because if you are an introvert and you're not somebody who's thinking ahead and taking charge, this might not be the job for you.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. I've never thought of it that way, Roberta, in that introvert extrovert. And I certainly know that you have to, if you're not naturally, an extrovert, you certainly would have to at times, wear that cloak and become comfortable being able to be in front of groups and to, be the lead in certain types of meetings and team scenarios to move things forward. And you do get more comfortable, as time goes on. It's like anything else. But if you're in the nursing field, if you're in healthcare and you're working at the front lines, you probably are more of an extrovert than you would think.
I agree. Nurse practitioners tend to be, very practical, very, organized. So hopefully that some of those characteristics would play into this if somebody was interested in a role like this. But I'm just wondering now about some challenges, because if I put myself in this position, I think I would be up against things that I've been up against in the past in different scenarios. One being establishing credibility, finding the clients that are required. I don't know if any of those were posed kinds of challenges for you.
Okay, that's very, very important. You want to build, as I said, on your skills and experience, and you want to build on your network. So from day one, as a nurse practitioner or a nursing background individual, think about it. You already have a network, and you need to constantly be growing that network if you want to build an independent business. So networking is so much easier now than it used to be, obviously, because of social media and other things. However, you need to be comfortable knowing that you will build a network that you can't even imagine right now, because that very first contract that you take, you succeed with that contract, and first thing you know, that group or that individual is referring you to somebody else, and you've never even thought of maybe working with that kind of a nonprofit group or business or whatever, and all of a sudden you are. So it builds one client, one contract at a time. My very first contract when I went into business at year one of 15 years was with a hospital that they wanted me to come in and do part of their board retreat. And they wanted me to talk about positive change, mental strategies, and all of that stuff that is, more on the personal coaching thing. So you don't know where it's going to take you. You have to be open to it, and you have to build your network. Even as beginning nursing students, who are just at the beginning of their learning path, I'm telling you, you need to build your network, and you would be surprised at what the second person after the person could bring you. So that is number one. Absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really interesting. I'm just thinking now, looking back into the 15 years and probably the years before that you were planning this, Were there any other sort of significant challenges or any other issues that you would want people to know about before they decided to do this?
Mhm. Well, it's interesting. Somebody with a nursing background, I certainly didn't have a business background, and you do have to have some business basics to go, into consulting and coaching. Now, I did, take the courses and do the learning, obviously, in all my management roles and executive roles. I certainly learned a lot of business basics at that time, but there's still another step, another difference when you go truly into business for yourself. So you must get some help with that initially, or take some courses, take some business courses, and maybe verify that where you are taking those courses, they've got a good reputation, and they understand, if you're in Canada, they understand Canadian, business practices, etc. But you need to get that piece. So that was a challenge. I wasn't naturally a business person. So I learned what I needed to learn along the way, and I got myself a good bookkeeper and accountant. Unless you're already in that field and that's where you're going, that might be something you'll do initially, but you don't want to spend your time doing your own bookkeeping and accounting and all of that. If you're serious about building a business that will give you the equivalent of a full-time income that you would have in, say, the hospital sector or wherever, you need help doing that. So don't waste your time on that. Hire experts and take their guidance along the way. So that would have been a challenge. And also, initially, nobody knows who you are, that you're doing this particular function. So you do have to get yourself out there. And it's, as I said, so much easier now with social media. However, the number one source of business in my field, and I know this from other consultants that are associates of mine, is word of mouth. Even though it's coming through social media, it's people who know you and they say, oh yeah, she'd be really good at that, or we've used her in the past. That is still very powerful. So do not be afraid to initially, especially, just pick up the phone even and let people know, just so you know, I'm in business for myself now. I'll send you my whatever list of functions I'm doing at this time. But word of mouth and getting yourself out there initially, and you could end up at the point where you can almost not handle all the work coming at you.
Wow.
And there's the challenge of, oh, do I say no? Do I try to fit it in? Do I bring in an associate? Because if you become successful in consulting and coaching, you're not going to be able to do it all alone, because if you're good, they're going to want you, and you'll have to bring on some help.
Well, that is a really positive way, I think, to wrap things up. Except I did want to add that in your bio, there's information about a certificate course for governance. And is that something that, if people were interested in learning more about governance, that would be beneficial for them?
Absolutely. So client-centered governance is our trademarked course. It's for boards, nonprofit sector, boards, CEOs or executive directors, and the executive assistant. They take the same course. It's online now. And if you feel like it, you can whip through it in a day or a weekend. Some people just plug away at it and take months, but it's all online, and it's the principles of true client-centered successful governance. So it's, at the same time, it's a leadership course. You will have a module on, visionary thinking. You'll see elements that relate to roles and responsibilities. It's got all of the components. At the end, you do get a certificate, and it's very competitively priced. And also, we are just launching the opportunity, if you are a nonprofit organization, that you can use it for fundraising. You'll be able to keep or generate revenue of 50% of the price of anybody registering. So we've been running the course since 2014, initially live, and it's been thanks to the pandemic. We were forced to put it online, and people are really, really, really enjoying it. So it's there, and thank you, Roberta, for asking about that. It's our pride and joy. It's the centerpiece.
I think it's important, and to offer opportunities for people to develop a better understanding of governance, because so many of the different options for transitioning into different roles as a nurse include a governance component.
Exactly.
And a lack of understanding of governance is a big problem. So this
Yeah.
is wonderful. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for asking. And I'm hoping to see some other individuals who will take up the baton as time goes on with these functions.